So my own experience as an employee as well as managing people, there are essentially 4 things that you want to make sure you do in the first 6 months of your career. These things are simultaneous, and it's not as though you stop after the 6th month. So the first is learn the job that you were hired for. So when you begin your career, that very first position, you want to make sure that you really understand that thoroughly, the ins and the outs. Even if you think that position is, quote, easy, maybe it's easy, maybe it's not, it doesn't matter. You first have to show your managers that you have essentially mastered that role. It's a common mistake that sometimes we make where we feel as though we are capable of doing more, and we probably are. With very little exception, it doesn't work that way. That's not how corporations work. It's just not. Master that role, and of course each industry has a different timeline. You understand that role before you can basically move on to something next. The next thing you want to do is learn the industry. So there's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can, and I still, by the way, treat myself as a student of my industry. So you can do, of course, your own research, keep up with trends, start to look at trade publications, look online. The other way of doing it is be a sponge as much as you can in the first 6 months. When you sort of hear these interesting terms, write them down when you're in a meeting, for example. Now, if some of you already know this, and if this is way too simple for you, okay, fine, sorry, but write things down, ask questions. So from a conceptual standpoint, you're going to begin to start to learn a lot about the industry and how it works. You don't want to have a career where you're really just doing the tactical piece. Because if you're just doing the tactical piece, you're probably not going to have as rewarding of a career as you want. You really want that strategic piece. The third thing you want to do, which is really an extension of the second, is you want to gauge the level of interest that you have, quite honestly, in the industry that you chose. Because, we live in the real world, and some of us don't always necessarily choose the industry that we love. And when that happens, that's okay, especially if you're still in your 20s. It's more than okay, totally okay in your 30s. Whatever. So, but you want to make sure that when you begin your career, really have a feel for it. Because although this is such a cliche term these days, really you have to be passionate about what you do. And then lastly, you want to develop relationships and get people to trust you. So you want to start to build work relationships where people that you work with begin to have a high level of trust for you. And once they do that, your life, your career, gets a lot easier because people don't question you as much as they would if they don't necessarily trust you. No one wants to feel as though they are being overly questioned for just doing their simple day-to-day job. The other thing about having people trust you is when people trust you, they are going to offer you new opportunities. It doesn't always necessarily mean, hey, you know what, you're now going to be promoted. It can lead up to that, but people are going to give you opportunities in terms of projects. People are going to, for example, throw you on an innovation team. They know that you love innovation and they now trust you, and in addition to your day job, you now also work on innovation. When managers begin to trust you, you are in the forefront of their minds. And if you're able to do all 4 of these things, this is a really great start to hopefully a really rewarding career. So send me your comments and questions, and each week you'll get a chance to win a copy of my book. And I'll answer your comments and questions during the QA video for that week.